Good day, guys. Matty Sims here, and welcome to a brand new episode of Wrestling with Sims. And in today's episode, we are going to get into that controversial ending of Hell in a Cell between The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, and Seth Rollins. Before we get into that, we'll just like to apologise for there being no review or episode up in the past couple of weeks. Conflicting schedules hasn't allowed me to record any videos and reviews of wrestling over, probably the biggest week of wrestling in, 20 years. And, just want to apologise. What an amazing week it was. And let's get into Hell in a Cell. Because let's not worry about what's happened, during the week. Raw was okay. The premiere of Raw was pretty good. AEW and NXT were both amazing. And SmackDown was good to great with, a controversial ending to that as well. Looks to be a theme in WWE at the moment. But for me, and if you follow me on Twitter, so go follow me there, link in the description below. I thought it was a good ending and a good Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. There was only 4 matches announced, which probably not ideal going into your first pay-per-view after, the massive premiere on Fox and the season starting on USA again. But I think the 4 matches announced were pretty solid. The 4 matches were the 2 women's title matches, the Fiend, and tag match between Roman Daniel Bryan versus the Bludgeon Brothers, Eric Rowan and Luke Harper. So the 4 announced matches for me were solid matches. Charlotte Flair and Bayley was a great one-on-one match. Actually, it was a good one-on-one match with the right person, in my opinion, going over. I think you have to, going into Fox now, you have to have your biggest stars on top, and then you can build up the characters to beat them. And I personally think Sasha Banks will move over to SmackDown, and you can have the heel duo of Sasha Banks and Bayley using their numbers advantage to take the belt off Charlotte Flair, which will then create conflict for them to see who is the rightful champion, and we can get some pretty good stories going with some triple threat action, and then probably Sasha turning on Bayley again. I'd say that's how I think it's going to go down. But we'll see what happens. Don't want to fantasy book it right now. If you do want me to fantasy book it, let me know in the comments below. But, Charlotte winning was solid. It was the right decision. Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns versus Eric Rowan and Luke Harper. For me, again, a really fun match to watch. I really enjoyed it. And no complaints from me. I think, again, the right 2 people went over. Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan ends this feud. Luke Harper and Eric Rowan can move on to something else. Yes, there's no WWE Championship, which, again, don't really want to get into that right now. What happens with the title picture on SmackDown? Say Cain Velasquez is the next competitor. Who's, for the belt, number 1 contender. Who's after that? We don't know, so we'll find out. I think back to Hell in a Cell now. Sorry, my mind. When you start talking, start rambling, it starts coming to you. But again, a fun match. The Eric Rowan and Luke Harper, they've proven themselves. Eric Rowan has proven himself to be a top guy in the company, and he's gone. This storyline, it started off so strange, and it's ended with, we haven't seen Buddy Murphy in a while, but I'm sure once the draft happens, he's going to get a bit of spotlight put on him. Once the draft is done, I think he's going to stay on SmackDown. But, Buddy Murphy finally got an opportunity on SmackDown. We've seen Daniel Bryan turn back to a face, which is what I think a lot of fans wanted. It's hard to boo Daniel Bryan. He made it so easy to boo him, though, didn't he? But, again, good match. Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch, that has to be one of the best Hell in a Cell matches of the modern era. You know, where they can't really go and do insane stuff, but they kept it inside that cell and brilliant. That chair spot on the kendo sticks in the corner of the cell, never been done before, and it'll probably never be done again. But that spot was awesome. That was awesome. And again, the right person went over, in my opinion. I could see them swapping Charlotte and Becky Lynch. Becky's on a lot of the promotional stuff for Fox, as well as Charlotte though. But Becky's she's pretty much the face of it. So maybe she gets put over to SmackDown on the draft. Charlotte gets put over to Raw, with Bayley going to Raw as well. But other than that, great match. And it would have been good to see Sasha win. But I'm sure after the draft now, she's going to get the belt eventually. I personally think she's going to get it at either SmackDown or Raw Women's title before the Rumble, for sure. And before we get into the main event, we'll just talk about the other few matches that were on the show. The women's tag title matches, Asuka and Kairi Sane, they win it against the odd couple of Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. Asuka, is this maybe a bit of a heel turn for them? You know, using the green mist gives them a little bit of another edge to them, another dynamic into how they can finish a match. You know, Kairi Sane and Asuka are two of the best workers in the company, haven't been able to be given a spotlight yet, and hopefully as women's tag champs, you know, they can get that spotlight, and hopefully the women's tag titles can become something. There's a 6-man tag, Braun Strowman with the Viking Raiders versus the OC. I actually missed the ending to this match, so I'm not sure who won, but Braun Strowman with a knockout punch to AJ Styles, setting up, you know, his confrontation with Tyson Fury, the Gypsy King, on Raw. So it's going to be exciting to see what happens with that as well. I know, again, a lot of people complaining about Cain Velasquez and Tyson Fury getting put into the WWE, but no one complained when Mike Tyson, you know, showed up on Raw. Mayweather had a great match at WrestleMania with the Big Show as well. So personally, I'm excited to see. I love seeing, you know, crossovers between shows and companies. You know, the Flash and the Arrow and all this. You know, they all cross over and have a massive episode. Why can't we have the same with UFC? You know, WWE. I know they're legitimate sports, you know, boxing, but I'm excited to see what happens with that as well. And anything I am missing? Randy Orton versus Ali as well. You know, okay match, nothing too amazing, I guess. It was just there. Great RKO reversal by Ali. Sadly, he couldn't get a win. It would have been good to see him win before the draft, give him a bit of momentum going into the draft, and put his stock up a little bit. But I think overall, I enjoyed myself today watching wrestling, and the past few weeks has been like that. It's been fun to watch wrestling. Now let's get into the main event, the controversial main event. Again, follow me on Twitter and you'll see what I have to say about this. For those that don't, go follow me now and listen to this as well. We can be real fickle wrestling fans, and I'm going to put myself, I'm not going to say, you know, I'm different from wrestling fans. I can be fickle as well. When something doesn't, how do I say this? So, you know, not a long time ago, about a year ago, you know, I had the mindset of, you know, that's not how it should be booked. It should be booked this way. But you've got to learn that it's a TV show. And TV shows like The Walking Dead, you know, they've run out of ideas on how to book stuff, on how to write stuff. You know, a lot of people, you know, complained about The Walking Dead, which has been going on for 9 seasons, 10 seasons. Who had to make 3 movies for it? Like, WWE have this hard thing of doing 7 hours of live professional wrestling every week with a 3 to 4 hour pay-per-view once a month. Is it? I want to see long-term booking, and so far with The Fiend, it has been perfect, and the booking has been so smart. He hasn't wrestled. He's wrestled one match, and he is the most over thing in WWE, and or maybe even professional wrestling. He's the most over thing, but I'm not going to say he is. You know, Kenny Omega is still Kenny Omega. Cody Rhodes is still Cody Rhodes. The Young Bucks are still the Young Bucks. Undertaker's still the Undertaker. Like, there's guys who are just constantly over. But The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, is maybe the hottest thing in wrestling as a single character. And you've got to watch what he says. You've got to listen to what he says. You've got to analyze. We don't actually have to analyze. You just have to pay attention. Not once has he said he wanted the Universal title. He just wanted Seth Rollins to be his friend. Now, we know he doesn't actually want to be his friend. But what he's setting up is he's made Seth... Like, a lot of this stuff happened with John Cena back in the day. This exact thing happened with John Cena. He tried to get John Cena to go to a dark place, and it cost him the match at WrestleMania back in the day. WrestleMania 30, wasn't it? A similar thing has happened today, or tonight, where Seth Rollins was forced to go to a dark place that he knew he didn't want to go to and he shouldn't have went to. And in the end, that cost Seth Rollins not his Universal title, because Bray doesn't care about the Universal title. All Bray cared about was destroying Seth Rollins and getting revenge for, you know, for everything. For all these... I can't explain it myself because there's so much in-depth analysis of Bray Wyatt that I haven't even done it. The only one I think has done it is Wrestling Days, who go follow him. He's from the UK. Great YouTuber. And he's got a lot of theories on Bray Wyatt and all this. So, yeah, go drop me a lid. Go follow them, and you know, you get more in-depth look at it. I'm not going to give you an in-depth look in Bray Wyatt, but I think the perfect way to end it was a no contest. Now, everyone calling it was a no DQ. I mean, it was a DQ. The Fiend's buried. They should get a refund because they weren't happy with the ending. Blah, blah, blah. No. Personally, in my opinion, that was a perfect ending to Hell in a Cell. The referee who oversteps the mark by calling for the bell, thinking that the Fiend has just been murdered on live TV, and then Seth Rollins, knowing, you can see at the end, he knew the Fiend wasn't done. And then the Fiend looks up at him, laughs in his face, chokes him out. Sister Abigail onto concrete, and that was it. Chokes him out, blood coming from his mouth. Seth Rollins leaves on a stretcher. Hopefully he's not on Raw, because that will just ruin all of my theory and ruin all of this. But yeah, I've held back a little bit because I don't want to attack wrestling fans again. I am on that same boat. I am a wrestling fan. I can be fickle. But sometimes we just need to take a step back. You know, all these channels, all these websites, you know, all it does, you need to be calm and have a calm voice, because now, I'm not going to throw Wrestling Inc. under the bus here. I don't want to do that. But wrestling fans take their word as gospel. Gospel. As well as, you know, Wrestle Talk and all these channels and websites, and the Wrestling Observer as well. They take their word as gospel. So when they see them tweeting out, saying all this stuff, oh, you know, fans deserve a refund, they deserve this, you know, that's the worst pay-per-view of the year, they're going to go, yeah, that was the worst pay-per-view. The fans are going to go, that was the worst pay-per-view of the year. I deserve a refund. I deserve my network refunded. You know, I deserve a chicken sandwich. I deserve, you know, free tickets to a bloody musical? I don't know. They're going to ask for anything, aren't they? So I think, you know, I get it. You're annoyed at what's happened on the show, but remember, it's a TV show. Same thing happened with Game of Thrones when they asked for a rewrite of the show. It's like they've done the best they can, the best they've done the best they could with, you know, not really limited resources, but they were following a book for majority of Game of Thrones, and then they had to write it themselves. They weren't, you know, in the mind of the guy or girl, or the woman who wrote the books. So I think WWE get a lot of shit for, you know, booking and storytelling and whatnot, but finally they're trying to say a story. They're trying to have a prolonged story that will hopefully end with The Fiend either at WrestleMania winning the championship, or he wins it before, and we have Demon Finn Balor coming back and winning the belt off him, because Finn Balor deserves to be at WrestleMania as champ. You know, he just does. He's one of the best workers. You know, when he gets that creative freedom, as Bray's been given now, they can do some special stuff. So I think fans, just calm down. I love Bray Wyatt. This character has made, you know, non-wrestling fans, like my girlfriend, hated wrestling. But the only thing she wants to see is the Fiend Bray Wyatt every week. And she loved this ending. She loved what happened at Hell in a Cell. You know, she doesn't know that, you know, Hell in a Cell is no DQ. No, I explained it to her, but, you know, non-wrestling fans sometimes just don't get stuff. And she thought the ending was amazing. So did my mate who doesn't watch wrestling. So I think we just need to take a step back and remember this is a TV show. And if they want to try and tell a story, just let them tell a story. If it blows up in their face, I'll be the first one to admit it. Jack from down the road will be the first one to admit it. Your dog will be the first one to admit it, that they shit the storm and shit the bed. Shit the storm? Is that even a saying? Shit the bed. But I don't think they've shit the bed yet. Bray Wyatt looks indestructible. Indestructible. And when he gets another opportunity, he probably will win the belt. Anyway, guys, it's gone on for 18 minutes now. Don't want to make this too long, because I've noticed videos don't really get watched. So yeah, we will end it here. But just remember, I'll just say I'll apologise for calling wrestling fans fickle and wrestling YouTube channels fickle. It was in the heat of the moment. But yeah, just take a step back and remember the influence that you guys have on wrestling fans and wrestling fans' opinions. A lot of wrestling fans are young kids, you know, teenagers, young teenagers, very, very much in that mindset of what they see someone else say is gospel. So just remember that we're all a community as well. Shouldn't be fighting. Come on. Anyway, guys, thanks for listening to this episode. If you've got your opinion, put it in the comments below. You know, no fighting in the comments. Just let's have a good discussion in the comments below. Your thoughts on it, and follow me on Twitter and tweet me over there, because I'll tweet back to you. Anyway, guys, thanks for listening. Hope you respect my opinion on Hell in a Cell, and I'll speak to you guys in a little bit.